Grab your big book, your pen, your highlighter, and notepad and get ready to hear and apply some of the solution from the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous through the experience, strength, and hope of Nikki M. To have a question addressed in a future episode of Noodle It Out with Nikki, please send an email to noodlewithnikki@gmail.com, and Nikki is spelled with 2 Ks. To get a more interactive experience with Nikki as she noodles out life and recovery questions using the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, you can get a link to her weekly Noodle It Out with Nikki meeting held live on Zoom every Monday morning at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. The information to that meeting is in the show notes of this podcast. God morning, God afternoon, and God evening to all. My name is Justin B. I am a son of an all-powerful and perfectly loving God and a qualifying addict of multiple fellowships, living in the miracle of recovery, and I am here with the intelligent agent, spearhead of God's ever-advancing creation, and my co-host, Nikki M. Nikki, introduce yourself.
Hey, family. I'm Nikki M., and I'm a grateful member of many fellowships. I suffer the disease of alcoholism. And according to our big book, that's the only requirement, is what it says in the long form of the third tradition. It says, anyone suffering the disease of alcoholism, which I found out is a family disease, even without picking up a drink. So I'm just grateful to be here. I mean, thank you for having a place where I have found a solution, because I tried everywhere. I'm not from Toronto. I mean, I'm from Orange County, California, and I couldn't find it in the sun, sea, and sand. And I certainly can find it in the snow. It's deep down inside of me.
Thank you, Nikki. I appreciate it. And I'm grateful to have you here with me. Today, before we get started, I just want to remind everybody this RICO 12 family of recovery resources is really a cool resource for everybody out there seeking the solution. Now, we have several resources, and it comes with a cost, and we're grateful for any and all donations that people make. If you are willing and able, please consider making a donation, either one time or a monthly subscription, to become a spearhead, a RICO 12 spearhead, and support this work. You can do that by going to www.rico12.com/support and make a contribution there. We're happy to have that. Also, I'm just grateful to be able to have these interactions and these resources. So if you find value in this Noodle It Out with Nikki M podcast or any other RICO 12 podcast that we do, please consider rating, reviewing, sharing it with the people in your recovery network. Get that out, get this message out there so others can experience the experience, strength, and hope that Nikki brings and that we bring to this. All right. So, Nikki, today, what I want to do is I want to kind of just go through some of the big book and find some prayers for certain situations. There are times in my day where I will sense fear, where resentment will pop up, where selfishness pops up, where I get angry, or, any of those things. I'd like to jump in and say, you know what? Let's look at some prayers for when I'm experiencing fear first, and we'll go through a few of these. Nikki, what does the book say about fear and prayers to overcome fear?
This is great. I'm excited just for this little chit chat. That's what we do. We're iron sharpening iron, you guys. Two or more people gathered together is a meeting. Justin and I are having our own little meeting here. So remember that. This is what this is about. I also want to just touch on the 7th again. This is the greatest prayer. Because we're talking about prayers, which is, I'm going to say it right now. Thank you. I want to thank everyone who's donating, because the Noodle meeting every Monday morning, we don't collect a 7th. We are a service meeting. And so we're a service meeting for the big book, RICO 12 family, this whole unit of RICO 12. This RICO 12 hosts the Noodle meeting. So I just want to say, if you're spending money on all those things you should not be spending it on, think about where you're getting recovery. And I just want to say this prayer. Thank you. Now we're getting into the fear prayer. Okay. It says on page 68, remember, this is all about fears. God is page 53. God is everything or God is nothing. Choose. Page 53. This is black and white. There is no gray. God is everything or God is nothing. So if God is everything, we've made that decision on page 53. Then we roll into page 68. I'm afraid. And, oh, Nikki, I've got anxiety. No, you have fear. See, when I had anxiety, my doctor gave me a prescription for pills, and I'm not knocking. That's the properly appointed authority, but they didn't work for me. See, I have fear, and my doctor will not give me a prescription for faith, but you guys do, and it's an endless supply. Okay. And here's the endless supply of faith. It says right here, it's on page 68. We ask him, capital H, that's him, God, the spiritual principles, the power to remove our fear and direct our attention to what God would have us be. There is your prayer. Ask God. There's that. This is all over the book. There's your prayer. God, remove this fear. It's fake news. How about this prayer? Help me. Help me. I can't. You can, God. I mean, everyone thinks if you come, because we're asked to sweep away our prejudice. Catholics, are you in here having to do all kinds of hand movements? Muslims, are they forcing you to get your rug out and get on your knees 5 times to pray? Because our book does not do that. Rastas, do you have to be in a Nyabingi in the moonlight with your drum? No. This is really radical stuff. It says you just ask God to remove your fear. That's it. There is your prayer. It's really radical. Just like I just started this session of our Noodle podcast with the biggest prayer. Thank you, God. Thank you, God, to every soul who has donated. Thank you, God, to every soul who will donate the 7th. Because see, we know it says God will do for us. So I can thank God in advance for removing my fear. Thank you, God, for removing this fear. It's real radical. So, hey, this goes into page 14. Simple, but not easy. So it's very simple. Thank you, God. Page 68. God, remove my fear. That's it. That's a prayer. Please. You can even throw a please and be real polite. Please, God, remove my fear and direct my attention. There's a great prayer, and it's that simple. But here's the not easy part, Justin, is remembering to do this when someone's eating your soul. Or how about this, column 3, when your self-esteem is being affected, when your security is being affected, when your pocketbook is being affected, and when your relationships are being threatened, interfered with. And your ambitions like this, when that's happening, because now that's going to roll us in from fear into what prayer do we need after that, Justin?
After the fear prayer, what prayer do we need? Well,
yeah, because now we've got a resentment, right? Like now,
yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
We're in fear. We're being threatened. We're scared. We're scared. Mm-hmm. We need to get a solution.
Yeah, because I'm feeling resentful towards whatever the person, institution, or idea that I have that is bringing that fear. I've got a resentment towards it.
Okay, so here we are, page 66. Because we remember, God is everything or God is nothing. And so we're asking God to remove we're thanking God. So we've asked God to remove our fear. And we're thanking God for removing it and directing our attention. And then he's directing our attention, this power, she, he, they, them, power, the powerful, most creative force in the universe is directing our attention. What is our attention? Page 66. This is our course. We're being reminded. Remember, we're programmed. We're being reminded again every day. We need to be reminded. This is our course. That what happened, the people who wrong us, who cause these fears, who affect us, right, are spiritually sick. So what's our prayer? Page 67. This is a sick person. And here, everybody, it says when a person offends, when a fear comes on, you say it to yourself. I once looked at the person and said it to him. It was not helpful, Justin. I'm like, you're a sick person. God, save me from being angry. It's like, Nikki, that's not helpful. Key word to yourself, Nikki. I get weird. This is a sick person. God, oh, here it is. Sorry, I'm reading it backwards. This is a sick person. How can I be helpful to this person? See, now we're praying to God. This is a sick person, God. Prayer is talking to God. And then it says, God, I'm asking God, and people, new friends, you don't have an idea of God. Borrow mine and Justin's. Here it is, the spiritual principles too. It's like, hey, being responsible. Come on, let me be responsible. That will save me from being angry. Get humble, Nikki. Justin, get humble. That will save us from being angry. Hey, how about this? Let's get helpful. Let's get helpful. That will save us from being angry. How about this? Okay, let me be patient. Let me be patient. Okay, let me get into gratitude. That will save me from being angry. And then we get into thy will be done. And what's thy will? There we go. How can I be helpful? See, it just starts flowing.
I love how you just thy will be done. So often when I say that, or when other people say that, I think, well, I'm just assuming that others think the same thing that I do. But thy will be done, I've always thought as a passive thing. Okay, I'll just do whatever happens here and be okay with it. No. How do I be of service? How do I get through this? That is what God's will is. Thy will be done. Well, I need to be helpful to someone. So let's get to action, because that's God's will, to get into action and be of service to another person. Yes, I accept what's going on, but I take that acceptance into action, whatever that looks like. I love that. Thanks for opening my eyes to that, Nikki.
Well, that rolls me into a great prayer. Is on page 102. It says our job. So why don't you ask God? Hey, everybody, can you email, and Justin will have it in the show notes, our email, and tell me what page call your sponsors on? Now, it says we, so we do need each other and we need to meet together, but it says first you ask God. So it says our job. So why don't you, here's a prayer. God, please help me do my job to be helpful to myself and others. And then you could roll into page 77. God, help me do my purpose. Then you could just roll into page 76. My creator. This is a great prayer, isn't it? The step 7 is just a prayer. Step 7, everybody. Oh, I'm working my steps. Step 7 is a prayer with actions. So here we go. My creator, the creator who created me. My mom and dad, they're incubators and they're whatever. But you understand, like the creator, laser design woven in my mom's belly. My creator, I am now this minute, right now, this minute, willing. There's the willingness that you should have all of me, good and bad, all of me, good and bad. I pray, there's our prayer. Just remove from me, please. Remove from me this defective character. What's the defective character? Let's go back to fear. Please remove from me this fear, God. It's not real, because let's go into what I am. I'm the intelligent agent, spearhead, page 49 of God's ever advancing creation. See, because this fear is standing in the way of my usefulness, God, to you and the world. I need you, God. So you can I just freestyle. I was like, oh, I wish I was Eminem. I wish I was Nick. I'm my own Nicki Minaj. Here we go. I'm my own Nikki M. Here we go. I'm just going to freestyle. Grant me strength. Give me strength, God. Give me strength. Give me strength. You can repeat it. Put it on repeat. Put a little step in it. God, strengthen my trust and my belief that this book is real and I'm an intelligent agent spearhead. As I go out from here to do your bidding. What's your bidding, God? What do you want me to do, God? What does the book say? And you can just riff. I'm just riffing. Everybody, hey, y'all have superpowers. And a lot of us have used them for not greater good. Use your superpowers, Justin. And it says, as I go out to do your bidding. And what is our bidding? Well, this is page 76. So everyone just roll your eyes up. Our purpose is to serve God. This is so simple, but not easy.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much on those. We got into some fear, some resentment, touched a little bit on anger, but I want to sit there because, for me, anger is often the first place I go. Resentment is the underlying thing of anger, but the anger is the fruit of my resentment, I think. And that's the first fruit that I experience when I feel, fearful, resentful, when I feel betrayed or disrespected. I go to anger. Talk to us a little bit about what the book says about anger and the addict, anger and the human, and what it means to us and how we can overcome that through prayer.
God is ever present right now with us, because page 111, This is such a great question. That's why I say it, because God's just free flowing through us. Here's a great prayer, everyone. Use me, God, use me. And that's what I said Justin, when we started today's session, the end of our set aside prayer, we said, God, use us. And God is. So page 111 says, the first principle. Here it is, everybody. This is a spiritual program with spiritual principles. So the first spiritual principle of success is that you, Justin, put your name there, should never be angry. Well, Nikki, how do I never be angry? Well, there's 110 pages that tell you how not to do that. And it says right here, it tells you what to do. It says patience. Why don't you have God sit on your tongue? Good temper. Thank you, God. My line out says, thank you, God. Obsess about gratitude. See, it says right here, our next thought, our next principle is that you, Nikki, should never tell anyone. I didn't put him, because this says to the wives. My book says to all of God's children. To all of God's children. Remember, Joseph O on his podcast on Rico 12 the other day says, God has no grandchildren, only children. We're all a direct descent of this creator. So it says right here, I'm never to tell anyone what they must do, period. And that takes us back into quit playing God. It doesn't work, page 62. I mean, this is the big book dance. It says right here, be determined. Next paragraph. I'm just skipping here because we have to always do just a skim or we'd be here for days, because I can hold people hostage in the big book too. Be determined that your problems, how about that your children's problems, that person who pissed you off, their problems are not going to spoil your relationships with anyone. Why? Because the first principle of success is that I'm never going to be angry. You can't touch me. I'm the intelligent agent spirit of God's ever-advancing creation. See, the world needs my companionship, and I can't be pissed off. They need my help. I can't be pissed off. I got to smash the idea. Oh, page 66. You don't need to roll there, but just remember it. The grouch and the brainstorm are not for us. It's a dubious luxury. So page 30, I smashed the idea that I'm like anyone. See, no one on this planet is like me. I have a special DNA. I have a special fingerprint. And I have a special relationship with my creator. Did I feel this way 11 years ago when I entered the rooms? No. Did I vacillate feeling this way when COVID hit? Yes. Am I absolutely certain without a doubt that this is my truth? Yep. Because this isn't an overnight matter. I keep staying here and doing the work. So see, it says, don't reset your heart on reforming anyone. My children, you, the fellowship. I can't. I'm unable to do so. My job is to never be angry and trust God. So how do I do that? Thank you, God. Use me, God. Thank you, God. Use me, God. How about this prayer? Why don't you read it, Justin? It's this third step prayer, because you have such a, Justin, you got the radio voice. I mean, we all have superpowers, but why don't you read the third step prayer? Because that's really the prayer that we can say all day, every day, every moment. It's everyone's like, when you wake up. Again, see where religious people are right. They say it 5 times a day if you're Muslim. Why don't we be like radical fellowship, big book 12-steppers and say it every hour on the hour, every moment on the moment when the moment arises? So go ahead, my friend.
Absolutely. I love the third step prayer, and it's one that I live by, and I restate it in one way or another, whether just a phrase at a time or the whole thing or riffing on it, as Nikki did with the step 7 prayer, often. And not just when I first roll out of bed, but throughout the day. And I'll go ahead and state that one. God, I offer myself to thee, to build with me and to do with me as thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. May I do thy will always. Just love that prayer. And, I've given several talks and presentations at workshops and conferences and stuff on this prayer because there's so much to it, and I continue to gain more from it as I practice it and use it and depend on it. It's a beautiful thing.
Here's another great prayer too, Justin, because you prayed over me and it just drifted me back out to when I was in the rooms dying and I was going to kill myself and kill my lover. And I was going to lose my house because we worked together, because I like to do things that people shouldn't do at work. And I couldn't go into work and I couldn't say the prayer. It's on page 552. And I had a friend in program, Carl, and I would call him before I went into work and he would pray this over me because I hated the man that didn't want me anymore. And he would say this. This is the instructions. If you have a resentment, and I was going to kill this man and kill myself, okay, there it is. It was over for me that I want to be free of. And if you will pray for this person or thing that you resent, you will be free. I could not pray it, Justin. And this man, Carl, prayed it every day for me when I went into work. And he would ask for this man's health. And he would ask that this man would find someone to love him and have all the things that I wanted with him. And he said I would be free. And he said, even if I don't want it, I had to pray for it because I wanted him to die as he was walking around work free. And I wanted to die. And I had to do it every day for 2 weeks, tried 2 months. I mean, it was nuts. And you know what? One day I found I meant it because I could pray it. Carl no longer had to pray it over me. And I did want this for him. And when the time came, we worked together. We both lost our jobs during COVID. And when the time came, Justin, and I had to make the amends, did I go out and find him? No. I was riding my bike to Auntie's, and he lives in Auntie's neighborhood. And I saw him. And it was a magical amends. And all those things came true for him. And guess what? All those things came true for me too, Justin. I have a man who loves me. You've seen him on camera. He says prayers in every language for you. Like, miracles happen because I wanted it for him. I got it too. So this is a powerful prayer. And I had to drift back. See, I love sometimes drifting back to those moments because I'm here now going, whoa. God will do for me what I cannot do for myself. I mean, wow, memory lanes. Even when they're dark, they're great. I love God. These are tears of joy.
Oh, love it. Thank you, Nikki, for sharing that. If you're okay with this, I'm going to read that paragraph from page 552, that prayer and everything surrounding it word for word, so that those out there can really get a sense of this, because this is powerful. So Here it starts at the quote in that, if you have a resentment you want to be free of, if you will pray for the person or the thing that you resent, you will be free. If you will ask in prayer for everything you want for yourself to be given to them, you will be free. Ask for their health, their prosperity, their happiness, and you will be free. Even when you don't really want it for them, and your prayers are only words and you don't mean it, go ahead and do it anyway. Do it every day for 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, whatever it takes. You will find you have come to mean it, and you will want it for them. And you will realize that where you used to feel bitterness and resentment and hatred, you will now feel compassionate understanding and love. And the next phrase, it worked for me then, and it has worked for me many times since, and it will work for me every time I am willing to work it. I have experienced that in my own life. And I love the promise that is restated several times. You will be free. Any other thoughts on that, Nikki?
No, just that the program does say on page 153, the age of miracles is still with us or upon us. I don't have it in front of me, but it's true. And another thing is, when you see that word will, like, what's going to happen? Well, the book says you will be. You will. That is absolute. It doesn't say maybe. You're going to sit on that promise right there. Everyone can sit there till we reconvene on Noodle next week or on next Tuesday. But You will realize, you will. And this happened for me. And it's crazy because you hear it a lot. Like, God's plan is bigger than mine. Justin, I've said it a million times. Like, I had no idea God would rocketed me into a life that, it's like when I'm on with you here, podcast. And then it's like I'm broadcasting from Luxembourg. I've never even heard of this country until I met this guy on the beach in Cuba. Meanwhile, I was going to kill some guy that only spoke one language at my work. And now, it's really, I don't know what to say, because God has the biggest plan it's beyond your imagination. That's what this is. This is beyond our wildest imagination. So this was a noodle time about prayers. And I want to say this to everybody. My final closing thought really is, just talk to God. That's what prayer is, just talking to your creator. And you can say anything you want. There's no shame in this game here. That's what's cool about it too. So I just love you, and I love this hope. And my favorite prayers right now in 2023, in October of 2023, I don't know the exact date, I can't remember, is use me, God. Thank you, God. That's it. So simple.
Come join with us, everybody, on this happy road of destiny. Use us, God. Thank you, God. Let's get out there and do it. You are all worth it.